Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about 10 true retro hidden gems. You always see these like hidden gem videos and it's always like the same like 4 or 5 games that everybody's kind of heard of at this point. I wanted to talk about games that I never hear people talking about that I absolutely love. So if you enjoy retro gaming content, please remember to like, subscribe, turn notifications to all. You can also hype the video to help the channel out a ton. Now let's get into it. Alright, so the first game I wanted to talk about is The Little Mermaid on the NES. That's right, The Little Mermaid, who would have thought? So this game is made by Capcom, like a ton of the great Disney NES games were, and it's honestly very unique. It kind of like takes aspects from platformers as well as side-scrolling shoot-'em-ups. You have free movement because you're underwater, you're swimming, and you have to throw these shells into these treasure chests to get items and upgrades, and you can use different items to throw into enemies. You can whip them with your bubbles and then grab them and throw them. It's got kind of like that bubble aspect to it as well. You can upgrade your bubble attack, you can upgrade your speed, and it's just a really good game. The levels are all really well done. My favorite, of course, is the ice stage because you get to fight this little walrus boss who I really like. The boss fights are just great. The first boss fight, you fight the 2 eels from The Little Mermaid. I don't remember what their names are. Even the final boss fight against Ursula is really, really well done. And this is just a game that I feel like if most people saw sitting on the shelf would just pass it by, not thinking of it. But it's a really, really good game, and I recommend checking it out on the NES. The next game on my list is a game that, again, people overlook a ton, and that is NBA Hang Time on the N64. So, a lot of people don't know this, but the NBA Jam series was called different things as kind of time went on, and then eventually it got bought out and kind of went to crap. But the last really good one, and possibly the best classic NBA Jam game, is NBA Hang Time on the N64. This game has all the perks of prior NBA Jam games. Visually and musically and the way it controls, it just feels so much better, honestly, than the games on the NES and like the Sega CD, even 32X. I just feel like this is kind of the best, the absolute peak of what the NBA Jam series had to offer back in the day. I do love the NBA Jam game on the PS3 as well. If you've got a PS3 and it's still on the store, be sure to grab it because it is really good. Get the On Fire edition. I really enjoyed it if you like kind of more modern teams. But if you're into the classics like I also am, if you're a big fan of the Seattle Supersonics like this guy, this is the game you're going to want to check out. There's a ton of different like lineup choices you can go with. Usually you only have like a choice between maybe 3 or 4. I feel like you have like 6 to 8 choices on your team lineup, which is really nice. Gives you a little bit more customization that way. It's just got everything that you love about the NBA Jam series and is kind of the best that that series has to offer. So definitely check out NBA Hang Time on the N64. It's not very expensive because, again, not very many people even know that this is an NBA Jam game. Another absolute classic on the NES that I never hear anybody talking about is Monster in My Pocket. This was, I believe, a line of, like, dare I call them toys? They were basically just rubber erasers shaped like monsters, but the game was so much fun, and you can play through this entire game in co-op. The premise is that you are little pocket-sized monsters and you're in like the regular world. So you start off in somebody's house, and one of my favorite parts in the first stage is running down the banister, and you get going so fast you end up going like ludicrous speed so that when you run into all the enemies they just explode on impact and then you can jump off of it. I just find this game to be really creative with its levels because, like I said, you're just like this tiny like toy almost running through the house, and this was, I feel like, before Toy Story was a thing. It was kind of a new concept. The gameplay is straight fire. It's really good. The controls are great, very fluid, very effective, and it's just a really fun game. It's an action platformer with kind of like beat 'em up elements almost. The boss fights are really, really good. You go down in the sewers and there's like this weird like tentacle dragon that comes out of the sand. And I remember like I think he's called like Jumping Jack or something like that, and he jumps over you, throws like knives down at you. You fight an abominable snowman when you go into the freezer. I just really enjoy this game. It's a really fun game to play co-op. It does get very difficult near the end, but that's how the NES was, baby. It's a really good game. I recommend checking it out. I don't think it goes for too much because, like I said, not too many people even talk about this game at all. And if you're looking for a fun co-op game that you've probably never played before, check out Monster in My Pocket on the NES. Another great NES platformer that nobody talks about is Rockin' Kats. This one is pretty rare, I will say. A lot of the games in this video don't go for a whole lot of money because, like I said, not many people even know they exist. There's not much of a demand for them, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it was just rare or what, but Rockin' Kats goes for a pretty penny. I do own a physical copy of this game. It is a great and unique game. It's kind of like Bionic Commando, but more fun. You play as this blue cat. It's got like this jazzy urban feel to it. And there's this dog gang that kidnapped your girlfriend. And of course, you have to play through all the stages and beat up all the bosses and eventually beat up the head honcho and rescue her. Your weapon is like this grappling hand that also doubles as like the classic cartoon boxing glove gun. So you can use this to like knock out enemies. You can grab items, throw them at the enemies. You can grab onto like light posts or any ledges. You spin around, launch yourself into the air. He does like this nice little gymnastics pose when he lands. This game just has a ton of charm and the gameplay is really good. I will warn you, it does take a bit to get used to this game because it does control a little bit weird when you first start out, just like Bionic Commando, but you do have access to jump. Whereas in Bionic Commando, if I remember correctly, you can't even really jump. You can even use your like punch gun and bounce off the floor with it to get a little bit more height. You can punch off like a garbage can or a fire hydrant to get across like big gaps. There's just so many uses for this arm. They just put a lot of creativity into this game. And like I said, it just oozes charm as well. I love the boss fights. It just has kind of like that whole like old school city urban mobster feel to it. It's just a really good action platformer with a lot of creativity, and I recommend checking out Rockin' Kats on the NES. Now, a game I just recently played through co-op and is one of my favorite Genesis games of all time that nobody even knows about. It's called Dashin' Desperados. It's made by Data East, and it's like an action platformer racing game. It's best played multiplayer, 1v1, because the single player mode is incredibly difficult. Like, I don't think I've ever beaten it. I've gotten pretty far. I fought like the blimp boss and all that. The premise is that there's a girl and you and your friend are kind of fighting over who gets the girl. And you go through, I think there's 6 different worlds. Each world has about 3 stages. You compete in different events like race to the finish. There's also events where she's like, oh, I left my lunch on the beach. So you have to go all the way to the end of the stage and all the way back. It's kind of like capture the flag. Those stages are nice because even if you've got like a hefty lead on your opponent, you're guaranteed to cross paths eventually. You've got a variety of throwable items to interfere with your opponent. You can also do like a roll, which gives you like a speed boost, but you can also use it to roll over your opponent. There's a ton of ways to just mess with your opponent. There's some boss fights thrown in there. There's some stages where you just have to like crack open seashells and get the pearls. There's stages where you have to hunt down an animal who stole her ring. It's just a really creative game that's constantly throwing a ton of crap at you to try and halt your progress. I feel like the game is nicely like rubber banded to where whoever's in the lead is going to get crapped on the most from like the level and the enemies in the level to give the guy in second place an opportunity to kind of try and catch up. It makes it exciting. The game is just absolute chaos and is an absolute blast to play with a friend. So I highly recommend grabbing a friend and checking out Dashin' Desperados on the Sega Genesis. Alright, so there's this game and one other game that's maybe probably the least hidden of the hidden gems, but it is an amazing, amazing game, especially if you're a Mega Man fan, and I am talking about, of course, Darkwing Duck on the NES. Again, made by Capcom, like all the great Disney games were back in the day, and it is literally just Mega Man, but you can grab onto ledges, and it allows for some interesting scenarios that you wouldn't find in a classic Mega Man game. You've got like your gas gun, but you've got little upgrades you can pick up for your gas gun. The boss fights are super, super well done. It also has like your classic level select, like a Mega Man game would. You kind of fly your jet into each area. The level designs are really good too, and there's such like a good variety. Like they're all very, very different and all very well done. It's just a really good action platformer. I highly recommend it if you're a classic Mega Man fan and you just want to scratch that itch while getting a new experience. Next up is one of my favorite NES games of all time that, again, nobody talks about because it came out kind of late in the NES's lifespan, and that is Power Blade. So in Power Blade, he plays a character named Nova, but he's basically Arnold Schwarzenegger with a boomerang, and it's got those Mega Man elements to it. It's an action platformer, but it's got a bit of twists thrown in there. So you've got your main weapon, which is a boomerang. As you defeat enemies, they'll drop either health or they'll drop stars, and the stars will upgrade your throwing power on your boomerang. You've got kind of like a power meter. The faster you mash that throwing meter, the less range your boomerangs are gonna get. If you throw them a little bit slower, they're gonna get a lot more range on them, maybe do a little bit more damage. You can collect more boomerangs, so you can have like up to 3 boomerangs thrown rapid fire. The premise of each stage is you have to find a contact. So you have to find like a character hidden throughout all the stages, and once you find him, you get a key card that gives you access to the boss fight room. It's almost like a little Metroidvania in that aspect. It's really fun to explore these levels. They're all really, really well designed. This is kind of like the peak of that whole like Bioroid, biological android theme in like the 90s and like late 80s. Something like Guyver, if you remember that show. It's kind of got like that kind of a vibe to most of the levels. But yeah, it's just a really, really good action platformer. And the name of the game, Power Blade, is named after the best item in the game. You can get this item that gives you access to the Power Blade, and you get like a power suit that lets you take kind of 3 hits before you lose it. The Power Blade deals a crap load of damage. It's got a lot more range on it, and if you can keep it to the boss fights, you're gonna have a good time. But it's really hard to hold on to because the game isn't easy by any means. This is one that I have beaten. Once you beat all the levels, you get access to kind of like the final stages. Just like a Mega Man game, you'd get access to the Wily stages. I highly, highly recommend checking out Power Blade. They did make a sequel on the NES, but it kind of sucks in my opinion. If you have played Power Blade and you're looking for something similar, there is a modern game that's kind of the spiritual successor made by some indie developers called Prison City. It is everything I love about Power Blade and so much more. But yeah, check out Power Blade on the NES. Next up, we've got one of the few Western RPGs I've ever enjoyed, and that is Shadowrun on the Sega Genesis. I know they made a Shadowrun game on the Super NES as well. Let me know down in the comments how that one is. I've never played it before. It looks kind of like point and clicky. I'm not too sure what to expect from that one, but the one on the Genesis is really good. It's like an action RPG. You've got kind of a top-down perspective. You do these missions. You're in this kind of post-apocalyptic cyberspace utilizing world in the future, and it's up to you to solve kind of the murder of your brother, get to the bottom of it, find out who was behind it, defeat that person. But on your way, you're going to meet a plethora of different people. You're going to take on jobs called Shadowruns from people called Mr. Johnsons. What you want to do basically is expand your contacts so you can gather more evidence, meet more people, and get more tips, I guess, as to what happened to your brother and his friends. It's a really, really good game. It is very, very difficult. There are 3 different job classes you can kind of start as. You can start as what's called a cyber samurai. So you've got like Wolverine style claws. You can do good melee attacks, and you've got good physical defense. You can also play as a shaman, which gives you access to magic, including healing spells. And then of course you've got the Cyberdecker, which allows you to kind of hack into cyberspace. You can steal information from the big corporations that way and kind of sell the info. You can break into corporations, hack into their security systems. It's a really cool game that's like way ahead of its time. I highly recommend checking it out. It's absolutely amazing. I can't say enough about Shadowrun on the Genesis. Next up, this one is super rare and gonna cost you a pretty penny if you want to get a physical copy. The Misadventures of Tron Bonne on the PlayStation. This is a spin-off of Mega Man Legends, which is one of my favorite PS1 games of all time. In this, you play as Tron Bonne, of course, and you kind of command her like army of Servbots. There's a ton of different play styles. You've got like your classic kind of like third-person shooter mode where you like rob banks and send your Servbots into people's houses to rob them. The objective is to like load up on as much money as you can and like upgrade your ship and upgrade your crew. And then in that third-person shooter style, you also do what are called digs in the Mega Man Legends universe, and that means you're gonna go down into some caves and you're gonna find a bunch of mysterious items and load up on some hidden Zenny, if you will. There's also some cave digging where you're in like this drone, basically. You control this drone and you got 3 Servbots with you, and you meet all these new characters on your adventures. And it's just a really fun, unique game. There's also like a puzzle element to it where you're moving like cargo around on like a dock so you can steal as much stuff as possible. The whole game, you're essentially like a sky pirate, basically, that has access to all these different mechs. I like the personality and kind of customization of all the different Servbots. They all have like different likes and dislikes, different specialties. It's really, really good. You'll find like your favorite Servbots. I just like the interactions between Tron Bonne and her family, and the Servbots most of all, because those Servbots are just there to serve. They're there to please. There's so many different things you can do with them. There's, like I said, so many different play styles. This game is absolutely incredible. So check it out if you can. It's called The Misadventures of Tron Bonne on the PlayStation 1. This is the other one that a lot of people do kind of know about. It is very, very expensive, and it is called Guardian Heroes on the Sega Saturn. This is one of, if not the best, beat-em-up games of all time. It tells like this great story, and there's like a war between heaven and hell. You end up summoning like this undead dude with this big legendary sword. You can unlock more characters the more you play through it. This is a really fun game to play with friends. There's a ton of multiple different paths you can take, so the replay value in this game is practically endless. There's so many different endings. You have different stats that you level up after each level, depending on how many enemies you've defeated. You'll get more and more experience points that you can put towards those stats. All the characters play completely different, pretty much. So you've got like your generic warrior guy, you've got like a mage, and this is one of the few times where I really, really like playing as the mage, because he's got like this really fast bicycle kick he can do in the air, and then of course he's also got his powerful magic on top of that. You've got kind of like a buffing healing character. You've got the ninja, who's also really good, very quick attacks, and they've got some ninjutsu, which kind of works as like offensive magic as well. There's just a lot of different characters that'll suit anybody's playstyle. I recommend checking this game out. Like I said, this one's probably the most expensive one on the list, but it is a really, really good retro hidden gem, and I highly recommend checking it out. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for more retro gaming videos, please remember to like, subscribe, turn notifications to all so you don't miss the next video. You can also hype the video. It helps out a ton. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and with your help, we can get there. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.